So with Spider-Man Homecoming, fucking not Homecoming, with Spider-Man Far From Home coming out in about a month's time, I thought it would be pretty relevant for me to review the previous Spider-Man films leading up to the new film, right? And I will not be reviewing Homecoming because I have already done that as a part of my MCU review. So if you want to check them out, go up in the corner, have a look at them. But for these movies, I'm really excited to I actually am really excited to talk about them. Mostly just the first two. But I did grow up with the Sam Raimi trilogy, and I just fucking love them so much. Like, I really love them, especially the second one. We'll get to that one in the next review. But for this one, Spider-Man 1 came out in, not titled Spider-Man 1, but it came out in 2002, had Tobey Maguire, directed by Sam Raimi, as previously just mentioned. And there's not much for me to really add to this review because so many people have already reviewed the Sam Raimi films and even the Mark Webb films, right? So I'm just gonna, I just want to gush over the first thing that I've always loved about this movie, which is the score, the film score, composed by Danny Elfman, who has done films like Batman, and a bunch of other movies. And I really like this score. I really like it. Okay, the minute I started watching it, when I rewatched it for this review, I was just immediately taken back to my childhood. I love this score. It's so good. I gotta say though, the cast is pretty good for this movie. Willem Dafoe, probably giving the best performance in this entire movie. He is giving it his all. If you've seen bloopers for this movie, you can tell that he was actually having a really awesome time with this movie. He was really enjoying himself. From the bloopers, it seems like he was the one having the most fun in the entire movie. He really pulled out all the stops in this movie for his performance as Green Goblin / Norman Osborn. But it's not just his role in this movie that I like. It's also, like, everyone else does a good enough job. Like, there's not a horrible performance in this movie. And one of the things that I've always liked is the subtle character interactions. Like, for example, when Peter is feeding Harry info about spiders, Harry's like, "Peter, what makes you think I'd want to know that?" And then Peter's like, "Who wouldn't?" So yeah, it's the subtle stuff, the subtle character interactions like that, and a bunch more. Like when Peter punches Flash and he goes freaking flying across the high school hallway, and there's like this quiet look between him and MJ. I don't know. Shut up, you dog. Sorry, that's just my dog. She's losing her shit outside. Anyway, I will admit though, this movie is goofy, silly, over the top. But I'm going to be fully real with you guys right now. I am always going to be biased with this movie. I'm always going to see the positive with this movie because, again, I did grow up with it. I love this movie, okay? I can't remember what age I was. I was essentially a baby. But I love this movie. So I might see things that not everyone else sees, and I might have opinions that not everyone else will agree with. Like, for example, I think this movie has a pretty good balance of the goofy and the dramatic and serious. Like, for example, when you go from this... Oh, my legs! Oh, God, I can't feel my legs! To this...
I don't mean to lecture and I don't mean to preach. And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Right. I'll pick you up here at 10.
I don't know, I just, like, the goofy, I think, is there on purpose, okay? Even if it's not there on purpose, it kind of works for the movie, because that's what Spider-Man is. He's a bit of a goofy, like, what are you gonna do when a guy has webs shooting out of his wrists? Like, anyway, the dramatic and serious moments for me have always hit hard when they happen in the movie, especially... This is one thing that I have seen a lot of people complain about in their own reviews when it comes to this movie being the third act. Not many people like the third act. I personally love the third act. It's probably my favorite part in the entire movie. Why? Because of that brutal fight between Spider-Man and Goblin at the end in that abandoned building or whatever. Yeah, that is good. I've heard mostly positive reviews on that. But when it comes to the scene on the bridge, no one really likes it. Like, they think it's like like it's the goofier part of the movie, but it's not like it is kind of, but not really. I see something else with that scene. What I see is something that so many other great Spider-Man stories have done, which is give him a choice, like Spectacular Spider-Man, Homecoming, the PS4 game. Okay, so many great Spider-Man stories have given Spider-Man a choice, right? Just like the scene on the bridge, right? I mean, it's brief in its approach, like he just like gives him a choice and he like drops the kids and MJ, right? Because that's what's going on in this scene. He has MJ in one arm and the kids in another hand, right? And he's holding them and he has to like he gives Spider-Man a choice: save your girlfriend or the kids, right? Be the hero and save the kids. And like Peter Parker would do, he tries to save both. That to me is what Spider-Man is. When he's given a choice, right? And he's like been pushed in a corner and he can only choose one way out. He chooses the best way out. But if he has the chance to save both, he will. That to me is what Peter Parker has always been. And I like that scene because of it. Because it is subtly delving into what makes Peter Parker Spider-Man Spider-Man. That was a bit too analytical for my taste. But either way, that's why I love that scene. That's why... not why I love this movie. For the most part, I love this movie because it's just fun. And Sam Raimi did a phenomenal job with this movie and did an even better job with the second one. Can't wait to talk about that one. Anyway, that's my review for Spider-Man. If you like this video, please do like and comment down below. And subscribe to my channel because I am going to be reviewing the rest of the movies, of course. So stick around for those videos. I'll see you in the next video.